Hello.
Hello. Hi, Wendy. Hi, listeners.
Hi, Chris. It's so nice to see you.
So nice to
Hear you.
see you. And hear you.
Are you going to sing for us?
Yeah, it's the Who, Feel you. Who. No, we're not going to go there. Sorry. Cut
Wow.
that out. I have got to stop singing on this podcast. That's all there is to it.
Why? How will we ever get our record deal if you do not?
We won't be getting a record deal if I keep singing on this podcast.
So, anyways, this is our podcast, Creatures of the Night, and I am Wendy.
Hey, and I'm Chris.
Yeah, we kind of established that already, but just to make it official,
Just in case you were a little confused by that beginning, that's it.
If the singing you were like, what are these angelic voices?
That's right.
And you got lost. So just come back. Paranormal podcast. Here we go.
Just go back, Wendy, and like play some music over my singing.
Like something really good. Like an early, God, who am I trying to think of?
Janis Joplin.
Gosh. I love Janis Joplin.
Stevie Nicks. Yeah, one of those.
I like Stevie, but Stevie these days.
Yeah, well.
Little rough.
Whoa, what was that?
That was me.
That was your voice?
Yeah, was I scary?
Yeah, it was great because you were just talking about Stevie Nicks too. So it was like Stevie Nicks these days, growl, rough. I'm like, yeah, no shit.
Oh, that was my stomach. Did it sound just like her? No.
Yep.
I love Stevie Nicks and I would totally listen to her. It's just not exactly the same.
Yeah.
But yeah. My kids hate when I try to sing to Janis Joplin because you can't not sing to it.
You can't not.
And they're not fans of her. They like a lot of what I'd say classic music, but they hate Janis Joplin. Like when it plays, they try to skip it all the time. They hate me singing along with it. I don't know. They don't like her.
Really?
I mean, they love all the other stuff. We're on the same page about Queen and CCR and all kinds. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of names I can't think of.
Well, it's just whatever emotion that they're gaining off of that music, and maybe the punch. Queen has a bit of a punch to it, and maybe Janis Joplin really just doesn't do it for them.
You're right about that because like you had said before, your husband likes like feel-good music. They tend to like the feel-good music. So like Kamikaze Blues and stuff, they're just like, shut up, you whiny woman. They're not big fans of Adele either. So I just don't think that they like that really strong emotion. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a different tune, man. It's a different folksy kind of, and I'm the kind of person who, probably like you are, when Janis Joplin comes on your playlist, you just roll the windows up and sing your heart out, or roll the windows down and fuck those people. They are going to get a show too.
I'm loud, so up. Yeah. And then I'm already making ridiculous faces and stuff because to really belt her shit out, you are crying when you're singing it. Not like literally crying, but I mean like your face is showing that emotion. So you look insane, but you're like middle fingers up. I don't give a fuck. This is my ride.
I jam. Yep. Drive time karaoke. Hell yeah.
Love it.
That's why I am practicing apparently when we start our podcast because I'm always singing. Even on our ghost hunts. I mean, how many times were we like investigating something and you're like, did you hear that? I'm like, fuck, I gotta stop singing. I'm sorry. Shit.
At least I know when you become a ghost, that is more than likely what you're gonna be doing.
Right. Janis Joplin? No, that's not her. Is that Chris?
I take it though. I'll go with it.
Singing Ghost of New Hampshire.
Are you going to be in New Hampshire forever? Because I keep hoping one day you'll get some bad arthritis and you'll want to move somewhere warmer and you'll live on the west side with me.
I already do because I love October. I love the fall. The fall is my favorite, absolute favorite month. Fall is my favorite season. But it really, I mean, honestly, it feels like a month. I mean, it has been fall temps for a little over a month, but the trees have just changed colors this week. So we are prime, beautiful season right now. And I know it's all because I did that water spill at the beginning of the week. I brought it. It's me. You're welcome. You're welcome, New England. I did that for you. But like, I absolutely love it, but I know what comes next, and I do not love it. So yeah, Yeah, I might be ghosting into Arizona. I mean, I love Arizona. I think it's beautiful out there. I just hate that it gets so hot. And I know it's a dry heat. I don't like this.
No. That's a joke around here. But it being a dry, I mean, it is a dry heat. So like when we say massive temps and you're like, oh my God, I'd be dead. It's not the same. You have to kind of adjust it. So like, because I'm from a very humid climate. So 90 there is like 115 here in Arizona. So you just have to know the conversion rate. Well, you can always live in the northern part of the state and things are perfectly fine.
As a ghost, I like that we're planning where I'm going to be. Just when you die, Chris, these are the these are the places you might want to check out.
I said when you're old and get arthritis before you're dead.
Sorry, I was already. To me, that equates to dead. Apparently, no.
It's a rough life, but I think my finger's been popping. I can't tell if it's tendonitis or if I need a whole joint in there or something.
Me too. Is it your thumb?
Yeah, I could just crack it all day long and then it'll hurt after a while, though.
That's all mine does is hurt.
Yeah. And seeing as I work for orthopedic doctors, I should just get that looked at. But it's just like my neck and everything else part of my body. I like doctors to pay me. I have a problem with actually seeing them.
Yeah, because then you have to pay them.
Well, no, I just am also just the worst patient ever.
Why? Do you get in there and you just start arguing with them?
No, I hate to be examined and touched, and I don't know. I have all these fucking problems, like with the weirdest little, like, they're not phobias. I don't know what you would call it, but I don't like people poking and prodding and paying too much attention to me. I don't know why we're on a podcast. Nobody pokes and prods in the podcast, though.
No, nobody does.
Nobody pays attention either. No, I'm just joking.
That's for us. You would be the worst alien abductee ever.
Oh
like,
my
ever.
God, I would lose my shit.
They'd be like, drop her back off.
Do they have Valium on this ship, please? I cannot. Some wine, at least. Please.
Right.
Can I get a bottle in before you start doing your thing? Now, a bottle in, I'm ready to go. Can you go to a doctor's appointment drunk?
I don't see why not. I think that honestly, I think that should be a requirement, like a prerequisite. Like sometimes you get the phone calls from the ladies at the doctor's office, and they're like, okay, you have to fast. Make sure you're not eating after midnight. You can have water or whatever. So it would be great if they're just like, yeah, fast. Make sure that you're fasting. Make sure that you drink a bottle of wine before you
half of it at least. Be a little buzzed so that you'll chill out and you won't flinch when somebody touches you.
Right. Can we just extend that to eye doctor visits also? I don't like them spitting that air in
That
face.
eye doctor wanted to test me for bifocals, and I was like, fuck you, man. Like, I wanted to, don't talk to me about bifocals.
Oh, well, that's why I have 2 pairs of glasses. So I should have bifocals or progressive lenses. Oh, 9 months and counting. I'll be 40. And apparently I already need progressives.
But, it's the deterioration of our eyes through all these like computer and electronics and TVs and stuff like that. So, I mean, our eyes are going to age a lot faster because it's hard for them to handle all this shit going on. So that's the same thing with me, is my eyes are all over the place because they're just losing their shit. Like, ma'am, you can't be on the computer all goddamn day and then expect us to still work.
Oh.
But like Jennifer Aniston is into her 50s now or something, isn't she? And she's fucking hot as hell. So I wouldn't and I don't even like her necessarily as an actress, but she is good. I should have said J-Lo because she just did that Hustler
She's
movie.
50?
She is in her 50s. I don't even think she's 50. I think she's like 52. I don't know. But,
damn, I didn't know that.
Age is just a number, really. You could make it what you want it to be. Except for your eyes. They're going to tell you.
They're going to tell you, bitch, you old.
Your eyes and your bones.
You might not feel like you are, but you old.
But you are. Get those bifocals.
Get them.
But hopefully the frames are cute.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, do you want me to tell you a podcast story that I ruined my eyes to write?
I would love to ruin my ears to the podcast that ruined your eyes. Please.
Okay. Are you ready for me to blow your mind with this podcast story you've never heard of and you have no idea what I'm going to say, right? Yeah, that's a total lie.
Yeah.
So we have to admit that we cheated a little on this one, but not because we love spoilers. It's not that way at all. What happened is I recently had the opportunity to tour this location, and it was this whole debate in my head because I'm a cheapskate. Should I or shouldn't I? And if I do, what equipment should I bring? And what type of tour should I take? Because there's kind of different types of ones that you can take. I needed Krista's advice on this because she's the only person that would understand. There was no one else I could go to. So she knew I was going to this location. And after I toured the location, I shared pictures with her, but I had to tell her, don't post any of these because I'm pretty sure I want to do a podcast on this. My story is on Sarah Winchester and the Winchester Mystery House. Sarah Lockhart Pardee was born in the summer of 1839 in New Haven, Connecticut, to Leonard Pardee and Sarah Burns. Sarah's father, Leonard, was a successful carriage manufacturer, and the Pardee family enjoyed status as a respectable middle-class family. Sarah was considered a child prodigy. By the age of 12, she was fluent in Latin, French, Spanish, and Italian, as well as being a talented musician.
What did she play?
I can't believe that I had that information. It was like 4 instruments, and I had it, and I cut it out because
I'm sure it's like piano, violin, like stuff like that, right? It wasn't like the drums,
harp,
the harp,
harmonica.
No, that would be interesting.
That would be interesting. I don't think that's a Connecticut thing, though.
She's like playing the blues.
She's progressive and wild.
Love it.
So as a young woman, she was referred to as the Belle of New Haven. Sarah was such a smarty pants that she even attended Yale's only female scholastic institution known as the Young Ladies Collegiate Institute.
Look at her.
She studied liberal arts, science, and mathematics. How forward of Yale to allow those silly women to study something other than cooking.
Thanks, Yale, and baby making, because I'm sure that was one of the other things.
At the time, Yale was a hub of progressive Freemasonic Rosicrucian thinking and activity. Listen, that was probably said wrong. I don't have to say it again. So, yay
That's
me.
it.
Furthermore, during Sarah's time at Yale, all of New Haven was going bananas with excitement after Delia Bacon, the aunt of 2 of Sarah's classmates, published this doctrine of how Sir Francis Bacon was the true author of Shakespeare's work, which I'm sure you're thinking like, why is this important? Well, some very strongly believe that the studies and the influences of that time impacted Sarah's beliefs and way of thinking and affected her actions later in life. One of Sarah's friend, who later became a historian, Ralph Rambo.
These names.
I know. Even publicly stated that Sarah was a theosophist, which means she would have been of the belief that the universe is a vast living organism in which all things are likened to individual evolving units or cells that comprise a greater universe, synergistic body that is ever building.
Wow.
The theme of ever building may just be at the core of Sarah's methodology.
Okay.
Now, flash back in time with me for a moment to 1837.
Okay.
So long ago.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
William Witt Winchester was born in Baltimore, Maryland on July 22nd of this year. He was the only son of Oliver Fisher Winchester and Jane Ellen Hope. Soon after William's arrival, the Winchesters moved to New Haven, where Oliver founded a successful clothing manufacturing company, and later his business turned to firearms, and the famous Winchester Repeating Arms Company was born.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, how do you get to clothes to guns?
I mean, this shirt just really isn't working for me. What could make it look better? I know. Guns. Let's just stop making shirts altogether. Guns it is. It's crazy.
The Winchesters and the Pardis were well acquainted through their church, New Haven's First Baptist, and Sarah and William both attended schools associated with Yale College. After years of running in the same circle and seeing that both of their families were successful, the two were paired up and were married on September 30th, 1862. And in July of 1866, they welcomed a baby girl named Anna Pardee Winchester into their family. But sadly, due to the infantile disease known as marasmus, which is a severe form of malnutrition due to the body's inability to metabolize proteins, Anna died only 40 days after her birth.
Wow.
Sarah and William were heartbroken and made no attempts to have more children.
Yeah.
In 1880, Oliver Fisher Winchester passed away, leaving his company to his only son, William, who a year later also passed away from tuberculosis.
Yeah, that's rough.
Leaving Sarah the heir to $20 million, plus nearly 50% of Winchester Arms stock, which earned her approximately $1,000 per day in royalties for the rest of her life.
I mean, that's what I'm making, so I get it.
But that's 1880s money. Today's money is more like $530 million and $26,000 a day. Are you making those bucks?
Fuck no. No, and I never will be.
So Sarah Winchester became the wealthiest woman in the world. But of course, none of this meant anything to her. Yeah. Sarah had never completely recovered from the loss of her child, and now she had lost her husband and her father-in-law, who many say she was close to, only within a year. Understandably, very little was seen of Sarah over the next few years following the deaths. It was noted that she had spent time in Europe before taking up residency in San Francisco in 1884, and soon after purchased a 8-room farmhouse in the Santa Clara Valley, which is now San Jose, California. And here's where the story begins to make some bizarre turns.
Oh.
Now, legend will have you believe that Sarah traveled west after receiving guidance from a seance with famous Boston medium Adam Coons. During the seance, Sarah was told that she was cursed by the Winchester fortune and that the spirits of all who had lost their lives by the firearms the company produced were haunting her and demanded she move to California and build them a house. When I'm a ghost, I am totally haunting a rich person and demanding all kinds of things. If this is something people will actually believe, I'm like, right. I want a beach house. I got to have lots of doors that I can open and shut and freak people out. I mean, just like so many fun fucking things.
I love that. Yeah. I see that meme all the time, and it's like, Ghost has enough energy to open up the fridge door. Could kill me, but I guess not. It's just opening up that fridge door.
It's just trying to spook you.
Right.
However, the more believable explanation would be that Sarah moved to the Bay Area to be closer to her numerous relatives who also lived in the area. She had family there up in Sacramento and in San Francisco. So she probably moved there to be close to family since she had already lost so much.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually.
But it's reasonable to believe that she would seek a medium after all that she had been through. There's just no proof about it, you know?
Yeah.
However, her actions that followed her dramatic move, they did seem rather odd. Because as soon as Sarah moved into her little farmhouse estate, she hired several carpenters and began her ever-building home construction project.
Yep.
It is said, yet disputed at times, crews worked around the clock 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in shifts to keep the work going consistently for 38 years.
Wow.
How would you like to have that job?
Job security.
Well, I mean, like, there's also, come on, there's no way there was an actual full day's worth of work.
No.
Like, if it was me, I'm just like standing around with a hammer, like just slowly banging nails into some 2x4 just to pass the time, just to make it sound like I'm doing some shit.
Now it sounds like you're talking about my current day job.
But I mean, if they strip the walls in this house, will they find a bunch of 2x4s with like 96 nails in it randomly just for no reason at all? Just because Greg that day was like, listen.
That fucking Greg.
Just like, what is she even talking about?
Right.
If they had cell phones back then, they could totally pass the time. But like, they actually had to come up with shit to entertain themselves all day.
Everyone would be on Reddit.
You read so many threads. Sarah also paid her employees really well, too.
Man, that would have been a sweet job.
Dream job.
It's weird timing. My husband had just shown me this. There's a Ouija Reddit, and I don't remember what exactly the Ouija Reddit, like subreddit is called, but basically someone goes on and they're like, what's the correct spelling of this word, right? On the Reddit, the subreddit, you can only respond by giving one letter because it's like a Ouija board, right? It's one letter. So the good people of Reddit came back and spelled out something satanic, one letter at a time.
Awesome.
I'll have to find it and link it to you. It's good times.
Sarah also acted as the project's only architect, which I don't remember seeing that on her list of studies at Yale, so it doesn't sound like the best idea.
Clearly.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best idea.
I mean, she studied mathematics, so I don't know.
So she's got it. Somewhat.
It is said that Sarah held nightly seances to receive the next day's building plans from the spirits.
And I just have to say, fuck yeah, that is rock star. She's just got an endless supply of money, and she's just like, with her bottle of wine, she's going to go talk to the spirit. Be like, okay, you guys, you got to hear the shit that I did today. All right. So, and that was Mickey's suggestion.
Greg thinks that I am insane, but I am fucking with him.
Yeah, right? I'm just going to make his life a living hell. He's like, I'm just hitting this hammer over and over again. Wait till he finds out he's got to do this for the next 36 fucking years.
38.
Oh.
But yes.
That's awesome, man. I'd love that. I'd love that life, man.
Now, some historians do claim that the construction was not 24 hours a day and that there were breaks between projects. However, the house still slowly grew outward and upward, reaching 7 stories high and having between 500 to 600 rooms, which included 13 bathrooms, 27 fireplaces, 10,000 windows, and 2,000 doors. So there's multiple basements and there's multiple kitchens. And I don't know why you would need that shit.
I don't know, Wendy, but you had me at 13 bathrooms.
I mean, like, if you happen to get lost somewhere in this house, this 7-story house, you have to have multiple places so that you can go. And the windows and the doors, that all seems to go along with having 500 to 600 rooms. But why do you have 6 kitchens?
They were all fully loaded kitchens. Like, they all had ovens and fridges and, like...
I do not believe so, because I also read something that like half of these bathrooms, if not most of them, didn't even work.
I know, she's crazy, right? Yeah.
So, I mean, like some of this shit didn't add up to anything. So that's still a lot of work days. Like, you know, they say that it didn't happen 24 hours a day and all the time. But how the fuck did it get so big? I mean, that's still a lot of construction going on. 500
fucking rooms too, dude.
500 to 600 rooms. Like, they just decided to stop counting after a certain point. They were like, this is getting bananas.
When you went there, Wendy, I mean, was this place just fucking ridiculously massive? Was it just like mall upon mall upon mall? Like how did it feel? Like
well, The thing is that all the rooms are very small. Like
Yeah.
there's 500, 600 rooms or whatever. This was at its peak. It was this big. There was an earthquake actually in 1906 that reduced the house down from 7 stories to 4 stories. And then after that, they didn't reconstruct the upper floors.
No shit.
So it got to be smaller than that a little bit. It's still 4 stories, and it's still, I never found anything that told you how wide it was. It is wide.
Yeah.
It stretches out. But inside,
Crazy.
there's a lot of small little areas, rooms, corridors, hallways. And so it's really broken up. So it's not like you walk into it and you're like, it's a fucking castle. It's so, look at the grand ballroom, you know? No,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I would want something bigger for my master bedroom.
Yeah, right?
And those bathrooms were tiny. Ridiculous.
Oh, no. That does not work for me. I
No.
take that back.
No.
I need large bathrooms.
Yes. So much space to stretch out.
Okay. It's interesting to think this because there's so many fucking rooms in there. And she had a lot of land. She could have had, I don't know, endangered species or something cool like that on her property. But instead, she's just like, no. More rooms.
Yeah, so she had over 150 acres of land that she bought with her 8-room farmhouse. And then she started constructing this monstrosity. The home now, because of where it's at, it's like in town. It's like in the city. The house now sits on somewhere between 4 and 5 acres. And it takes up most of that property.
Well, now I understand why tour tickets were so fucking pricey. You had to pay that mortgage. Damn.
The house has a number of unique characteristics, to say the least. It's true when they say it is a labyrinth of maze-like corridors and twisting hallways, and some of which lead to nowhere.
Wow.
I would need a map to get through there. It's really confusing because there's a lot of twists and turns in there.
You need a GPS in that place, huh?
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of small spaces, and they might look somewhat the same.
Wow.
Some of the rooms are furnished, and then like some are not too. So you don't have like a marker of like, oh, this is the Oriental room or whatever, and this is Sarah's bedroom. You know, some of the rooms are just unfinished kind of spaces. There are centrally located passages and stairways that serve as shortcuts from one side of the house to the other. There are rooms within rooms. Staircases and doors that lead to ceilings or to interior walls. Some of the house's chimneys have an overhead ceiling, so only like 13 of the 47 actually work.
She's a terrible architect.
She's really bad at this. Some skylights are covered by roof. There are tiny doors that open up to large spaces and large doors that open up to small spaces. Very Willy Wonka there.
Yeah, right. Or
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland. Thank
Yeah,
you. That's
yeah.
exactly what I was trying to think of.
I read your mind.
You did. You're tapping into that Sarah Winchester style, right? Or Houdini,
Yes.
whatever it is. You're.
So, like we said, Sarah doesn't seem like she's got a good handle on this whole architect thing.
No.
But some of this stuff, I mean, she was an educated woman.
Yeah.
So you would think she would know the proper door size to pick. It just doesn't seem like just honest mistakes of like, oops, I measured that wrong.
No, she was an intelligent woman. She should have hired an intelligent architect. So it's like, did something else.
She was on a different path, it seemed like, for sure.
Yeah.
Adding further to the mystery features of the home is the use of the numbers 7, 11, and 13, repeatedly displayed in various ways throughout the house. These numbers consistently show up in the numbers of windows in a room, are the numbers of stairs on a staircase, are the numbers of lights in a chandelier. The list goes on and on. Mm-hmm. On the different items throughout the home being repeated 13 times. 13 was the most popular. But there's this whole theory that there's numbers all over this house. that
Right.
creates a code game.
Oh, I love code games. Wasn't one of the things was like the front door had like 13 panes in
Yes.
the window or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's 13 orbs in the glass, and there's 13
Yeah.
panels on the wood
13.
wall. You know, it
I
just
love
goes
that.
on and on and on.
I love it because so many people think that 13 is a bad luck sign, but Sarah Winchester was like, oh, no. 13 is such a good luck sign for me.
The rumor has it that the odd design within the home was done on purpose to confuse the spirits that haunted Sarah.
Yeah.
And to keep them trapped within the home so they wouldn't go bother anybody else, I guess. Very nice of her.
That was nice of her.
And some explain the use of 13 throughout the house as being a way to ward off evil spirits. Sarah believed that that was what was going to keep them at bay.
Yeah. It was like she was creating a witch ball, like the whole house.
And that's what she used in defense against, you know, whatever bothered her.
Yeah.
Or she was afraid of bothering her. So they
the
say.
negative energies. Yeah.
And some have pointed out the connection in a lot of Sarah's designs throughout the house as being symbols within the Freemason Society.
Oh.
And that the use of synchronicity. Can't you just say it and I don't say it?
Is it synchronicities?
Yeah, okay, we're going with that. Was all a part of a much bigger puzzle Sarah was creating as a labyrinth of coded clues for others to attempt to solve. Look, I read this whole article by this dude that was way smarter than me, and he was talking about this doctrine and that doctrine and this theory and that theory, and they're all number tables for codes, and your name equals the number this. Apparently Sarah's equals 13, so that's her stamping herself.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and then their child's name is 47. You see 47 so-and-so somewhere else. He had all these numbers, and he saw numbers everywhere like he was fucking Rain Man. I don't know what he was talking about.
This is numerology. This is like a big thing. It's like the zodiacs.
Yeah. How the guy really lost me. I was following him. Okay, you use this table and you calculate these numbers, and here you go. I got it. And she coded this message. But that's what he kept saying is she created this house to be a labyrinth, to be decoded by someone that understood this stuff.
Wow.
But in the end, I mean, like, I had to skip to the end because I was like, what? Wow, I can't read all these mathematical problems anymore. I skimmed it and skipped towards the end. He never delivered a code. Whether he's hoarding it for himself, he figured it out. But if she created this giant puzzle for people to solve, I don't know what the end result was. By referencing herself or her child or her husband or Shakespeare here and there, what's the end message? You know,
Yeah.
She wasn't putting out a treasure map. So
yeah, right.
So he wasn't telling me about a treasure map, so I gave up and I was like, okay. It sounded like she was just putting her stamp, you know, in places.
That's what I thought too, but apparently this guy believed that it was some kind of a message that was out there for us to decipher, and there would be some treasure at the end of the hunt.
So he never promised me treasure. So maybe he's just satisfied with being able to figure out the numbers game and be like, I know what that means. You know, like when you're playing that game and it's jumbled up letters and you're trying to find out what the word is.
The word is, yeah. Right.
So like he could have just been excited about seeing her little codes everywhere.
Yeah, okay.
He constantly talked about in the Freemason Society, for their members to go through levels of degrees, they have to go through these labyrinth type challenges or mazes. And he thought that her house was set up that way.
That's interesting. Yeah. I didn't know that Freemasons did anything like that.
That's what he says, man. Like I said, this all sounds cool, but could you take these numbers out? Because you're losing me. Stop it. That's why I didn't include all that stuff, because I couldn't sum down what he was saying without just putting in all of it out there and being like, come on, guys, help me out. Does anybody else get what this dude is trying to tell us? It was too much. So I just said she likes labyrinths and she likes coded messages. The end.
And love it. That's where we need to be.
All right. But not all of Sarah's construction projects were completely madness. Some structural choices are explained by Sarah Winchester's issues with arthritis.
Oh.
So she had created stairs that they refer to as easy riders because the steps are only about like an inch or 2 inches in height. So it was easy for her to go up them. Other impressive choices include wool installation, which wasn't common at the time, push-button gas lighting, and forced air heating. She also had one of the first forms of a shower, and she had fancy elevators. She had 3 of them. 2 were hydraulics, and 1 was electric.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hydraulic.
So, like, it's a fancy mansion that has 6 kitchens and basements or whatever.
Yeah, it's just got a lot going for it.
Yeah. And staircases that lead to nowhere.
Right.
And the home was decorated with the best of the best, with gold and silver chandeliers, hand-inlaid parquet floors and trim, and beautiful stained glass windows.
Parquet floors take a long time to lay down.
You know, some people don't like parquet floors, but I'm all about it. I like that look.
I think that they are beautiful. So she had a good, I guess, parquet floor layer because he did it correctly. It wasn't all like blah, 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 like.
They're beautiful.
Oh, okay.
It's got like some black trim to it or whatever. I mean, we were standing in one room and they're talking about something. And I'm like standing in the doorway and I happen to notice the floor and I'm like, snap. I'm like,
I know.
one of the, there's 2 guides, one in the front and one at the back, making sure that everybody hustles along because we were the last tour of the day. I'm sure she was just like, why is this bitch taking a picture of the floor? But I was like, I love these floors. They're so gorgeous. Then we went to another room and I could totally have just gotten a picture in there. But anyways, not all the rooms had that pretty flooring. So in one window, there is a Tiffany stained glass design.
Wow.
So that when the sunlight strikes it, it casts a rainbow across the room.
Aww.
This glass was installed on an interior wall in a room that has no light exposure. So, yep, no rainbows at the Winchester house.
Do you think that sometimes she just did some of these things as like a fuck you to society? She's like, nah, I can do whatever I want. Tiffany stained glass window that captures rainbows when the sun hits it just right. Put it in this room. No sun.
Or she had a dark sense of humor and she's like, fuck those rainbows.
Yeah, right.
Life is not like rainbows.
Right.
It's deeper than that.
Life is a dark room with a Tiffany stained glass window.
On September 5th, 1922, with the news of Sarah Winchester's death, the construction crew halted all work and projects were simply left unfinished.
Yeah.
Sarah had died peacefully in her sleep at the age of 82. She was laid to rest in Evergreen Cemetery in New Haven, Connecticut, alongside her husband and daughter. Per Sarah's 12-page, 13-part will, which required 13 signatures from Miss Winchester, all her estate, excluding the house, was divided between charitable groups she supported, some of her employees, her private secretary, and her niece. Sarah's attorney sold the home to John and Mammy Brown, who opened the home in 1923 for tours, and Mammy served as the new attraction's first tour guide.
Wow.
Today, the home is owned by Winchester Investment LLC, a privately held company representing the descendants of John and Mammy Brown.
Aww.
You can tour the home most every day, and in the fall, they even offer haunted house experiences.
Do they?
Which include wax figures. So, yep, that's not the tour I fucking took.
Oh.
Negative.
Oh.
They were like, you can tour it at night. And I was like, oh my God, should I tour it at night? And then I was like, wait, they're describing this quite weird. And I had to look into it. And yeah, it's a totally like, they do scare things.
They're
so
haunting it up kind of thing.
I just thought we were going to get to walk around in the house at night.
At night, yeah.
So the tour guides, along with pointing out unique features of the home, also share the legends of how it was designed, despite there being any proof to their stories.
Oh.
Old friends of Sarah and close companions publicly stated after her death that Sarah was not a spiritualist. She did not perform seances ever in their presence, which I don't perform my seances in front of people either.
No, I don't.
Most people don't even know I'm a ghost hunter, so.
Right? Me, the same here.
And she simply was a very private person that enjoyed redecorating a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. But never fear, guys, that does not mean this place isn't full of creepy ghost stories.
That's right.
A number of guests, staff members, and popular TV personalities have reported paranormal activity within the Winchester home. And this is not a recent discovery either. Tales of haunting have existed at the location basically since the doors were open to the public.
Wow.
Attracting the attention of many curious minds over the years, including the great magician Harry Houdini, who came to debunk it all as an illusion caused by the building's surreal design in 1924. And supposedly walked away not quite sure what to think.
Right.
So I was doing this story first, and then I found that tidbit, and that's what set me off on my obsession and what created my podcast story a couple weeks ago, because I just fucking love magic or something. I'm not really sure.
Or something.
But that's where I got on the Harry Houdini route, because the Winchester Mystery House played host to the 50th anniversary Houdini seance by the Society of American Magicians, assembly number 94 in 1977.
Wow.
As far as I know, Harry did not make an appearance.
Oh, but did Sarah?
Somebody had to have.
I'm
place,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Something.
You can't just have a seance in this location and nothing happen.
Right?
This is the place. Yeah, something's coming through.
I just know that Harry didn't show up. But anyways, in the early 1990s, the Winchester management had a parapsychologist and paranormal investigator named Christopher Chacon. Some may know him by his connection with the Paranormal Activity franchise. I believe he what's the word? He's they go and ask him, does this seem realistic,
Really?
Yeah. And so he's been a part of those, and he's done some interviews because of that.
Huh.
But well before that, he was just a hardcore investigator, just like ourselves. Christopher conducted a full-scale scientific assessment of the property. The month-long, around-the-clock investigation included interviewing over 300 people regarding their experiences on the property and analyzing every aspect of the environment for an unusual phenomenon.
Good for him. So that's on the toilet, too. This is around-the-clock investigation.
Well, he just means he set up equipment. I mean, I don't even think he was there the whole time. He just made sure his equipment was working.
No, because he had to go grocery shopping. He had to take a shower. I mean, there were things. Right.
Yeah. An on-site 720-hour investigation utilized environmental monitoring equipment that was placed at various strategic locations throughout the mansion and randomly relocated to other areas every 72 hours. So basically, he only showed up every 3 days to switch that shit out.
Yep.
Christopher says obtaining baselines of the environment in and around the property is crucial to determining any type of abnormality. Fuck.
Yeah, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Abnormality. What the fuck is wrong with me? Fluctuations. Which, duh, Chris. That's ghost hunting 101. We got that. We already know that.
Done.
This environmental monitoring covered many aspects, including temperature, radiation monitoring, air current, and air content, electrostatic emissions, electromagnetic spectral, vibration and movement, air pressure and humidity, and spectral of light. Okay, so now this is Ghost Hunters honors classes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I guess, because I don't even know what he's going to do with all that information.
I mean, no shit. I understood a lot of those words, not usually put together in that format, but I could probably make it out in my head, what we're trying to do. The science there, what thing, what boombox does he have? This is bonkers, right? This is crazy.
So he says this cutting edge technology used to document the environment, including third generation night vision, thermographic, and ultrasonic and microwave imaging. What the fuck is that?
You know, when you, it's a lot like when you put that fucking piece of toast in the toaster and it pops out with the face of Jesus on it. So you put your Hot Pocket in the little, little Hot Pocket little thingy. You stick it in the microwave and you get it out and bam! There's the face of Jesus on the Hot Pocket. It's the same thing.
I thought it was like when you stare too hard into your microwave because you cannot wait until that food is done and it makes you start feeling wonky.
It does. The radiation. You don't want to get too close to that shit. Don't stand too close to the microwave. Women.
I thought he was like doing his seances, but putting a microwave on the table, turning it on, looking into it, and waiting for like, I don't know, demons to pop out or something.
They will, depending on what he's putting in the microwave.
Well, Hot Pockets are basically like demons because your ass is going to regret that after you eat them.
Yeah, I will. Because I can't, my stomach can't process it.
They don't make gluten-free Hot Pockets? God, no. Hot Pocket, get with it. Hot Pockets are disgusting. There was a comedian that said, this is how you, and this is like your martini instructions. It was like, this is how you eat a Hot Pocket. You open the package and you dump it in the toilet. Done. Because that's what's going to happen. You're going to run into the bathroom afterwards. Anyways.
Yuck.
So, yeah, like, I don't know what this dude's doing with all this information. This is how I envision it. He threw out a bunch of fancy words, just like some investigators, but they like to roll up with some fancy equipment and they're like, look at my gizmo, look at my gadget. They're all cool. And they make numbers and beeps and lights. And so all his shit was making numbers and beeps and lights. And he watched for those numbers and beeps and lights to change.
Yeah.
In the end, he said there were 274 events of paranormal activity that could not be explained.
Wow.
In the end, Christopher said that his investigation could not be inconclusive. You know, he spent a whole fucking month there, but he still can't tell you whether the place is actually haunted or not. But then what he goes on and says, which I'm not even going to read to you because it sounds like a bunch of gibberish to me.
Because it's gibberish. I knew that's
It's just like he would need to further investigate because basically he wants to try to figure out what kind of haunting it is. So now he won't even officially say that it's haunted. He's like, yeah, there was some stuff I couldn't explain. Yeah, there was these 164 people that had experiences. But you'd have to let me go in there for some more time. He wants to move in. He must need a place to stay.
He needs a place to stay. Nice.
Because he's got to figure out whether it's residual or reoccurring spontaneous psychokinesis. What is he talking about? That was in his final statement of the location.
I mean, we used to have a team that would do that sort of thing. It was called Paranormal Lockdown. And they'd go in there for a couple of days, figure that shit out, and go.
But Christopher was there for like a month.
And he couldn't figure that shit out?
No.
What the fuck?
You don't get an extension on your project, Christopher. It's give me
You
an
fail.
answer now.
Your assignment was incomplete. Sorry.
But on a more current view of the Winchester house, let us explore those entertaining TV personalities that we love to watch. First of all, Mythbusters has been to this location.
Nice.
It was a Halloween special-ish show in October. It was called Smell of Fear. They were testing if your sweat actually smelled different when you were scared. You know how they say that like animals can smell fear on you and stuff? So they were delving into that. So what they did is that a few of the people went to the house and toured the grounds and roamed around, and then later they watched a movie in the ballroom, and they didn't say what scary movie it was, but it was supposed to be like the scariest movie ever.
Oh, The Descent, The Shining, one of those.
And then they gave up their sweat samples and stuff, which, you know, I didn't pay attention to the results of that. But later on their after show about the episode, Carrie Byron revealed that she had visited the Winchester house as a child, and then after that, it gave her nightmares for weeks. So being back in the house was extra special and scary for her.
Yeah, I bet.
Then on my favorite, I don't know, Ghost Adventures. Of course, they've been here twice, in fact. On their first investigation of the Winchester house, that episode I mentioned so many podcasts ago, and I can't believe I actually got this right. This is where they did the paranormal phone line.
Yeah.
Which, like, in that podcast, I was just guessing it was at the Winchester house. But, you know, I was pretty confident. They were at the Winchester house, but they were Skyping with a paranormal group that was at Bobby Mackey's. And then they were Skyping with Debbie and Mark Constantino.
Oh,
I say
damn.
Debbie with a heavy heart. I say Mark with, you know, fuck. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, fuck that dude. Wow. That's crazy.
At the Washoe Club in Virginia City.
This was the first one then.
This was the first time around that they were at the Winchester house. They acted super silly before the episode, before the investigation started. And then when it started, they were so preoccupied with what was going on at Bobby Mackey's or the Washoe Club, they didn't really focus on the Winchester house so much. So this is not the episode I would go and watch. I would kind of just like gloss over that. They did record a knocking sound from within the house. And the house is, because it's so big, it is very solid. So it's hard to get outside noise that contaminates it, you know, plus the grounds around it. There is a street close by, but this was a knocking sound. Aaron also claimed to see an apparition that was standing next to Zach. Like, as he looked up to Zach, he saw another dude and it freaked him out. But listen, Aaron was so upset by the activity that was going on at Bobby Mackey's because they have such a bad history there.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell whether he was affected by what's going on in the Winchester house or his own demons, you know, to be honest.
Right, yeah.
It could have just been in a weird place.
Yeah.
Then the episode was actually, well, not the episode, but the investigation was cut short because Zach got a weird feeling.
Yeah.
They call the property manager and they're like, let us out. And he finds out the next morning that his grandmother passed away. So
yeah,
the episode's not that great. Skip over it if you've never seen it. Skip to their second episode when they returned, because they were way more serious that time around and a lot more focused on the actual location and exploring it. They saw an apparition cross past a window down a hallway. The video is really good. Once they zoom in, you could clearly see a person, a figure of a person. It is so good that you might question, could that be one of the employees that work at the Winchester Mystery House?
Yeah.
But they don't say that they questioned everybody about their whereabouts. They have done that in the past.
Yeah.
And this is like season 11 or 12 or something. So this is at the point where they're kind of done with trying to convince people to, you know, to show you that they're telling the truth.
Right.
So maybe they just didn't share the information with us, that they had questioned staff and been like, nobody was in the house, right? It's a really good video if it is in fact an apparition. They also had their SLS camera cut off. They had it set up in the seance room, and then Zach goes up there with a Winchester rifle, and then when he points it at the camera, it just cut off.
Oh, shit.
And then where I say, because they never have a malfunction with it, right? And then the people watching it with me in my house were like, no, it was a ghost, of course. We're all a bunch of assholes. Then there was an orb that, and I know how we feel about orbs, but this was like a floaty looking weird orb that had shape to it, like odd shape, not just circular. So much so that that odd shape to me looked like a middle finger floating up. Others in my house say that it's a thumbs up. They're more optimistic people than I am.
That's cute. So they're looking at it from the social media point of view, the thumbs up.
Well, they're talking about the bone on the other side that protrudes outside your thumb, and that's what was making like the other...
I don't know. Show me the middle finger.
Like this. So it was like, this is what you could see, your ring finger, and you could see a middle finger, and then it was like that. Just a middle finger, and there's your ring and index finger.
Hold on, let me take a picture of this for social media.
But others say that it's a thumb, and then like a ring finger, and then your, I don't know what you would call that, nothing. And that's why I say they're dumb. So, like, anyways. Zach also claimed to see the figure of a small child, which wasn't caught on camera, but just a few moments after that, they do catch on camera the sound of footsteps. And these are like little quick footsteps, like Chucky coming down the hallway footsteps, or a toddler, or whatever. You know,
a murderous doll or an infant. You decide.
That's a creepy child if they're running that quickly at you.
Yeah. Wow.
They also got a childlike voice on the spirit box. Zach then claimed to also be pushed on the stairs, whatever.
Yeah.
The most interesting piece of evidence to me was when Aaron hears a loud bang, and it's even caught on his camera's audio, and he reacts to hearing this noise, and he kind of freaks out, and he turns to Billy, who's right behind him. They're kind of in a staircase, so he's a few steps behind him, and he's like, "Did you hear that?" Billy heard nothing.
Oh, shit.
And it also wasn't caught on Billy's camera. So when they play back Aaron's camera, the sound's there. And then Aaron claims he heard it. So, like, I get paranormal activity happening on one person's audio, but not the other. But the fact that he heard it in the moment, but Billy standing right behind him didn't hear it, that's weird to me.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's happened to us before, too. And that's amazing. I love that Billy's like, the fuck you talking about?
Oh, he was totally, what, dude? What?
Yeah.
And he's like, you didn't hear that? At first, they just show Aaron reacting to it. So you're like, fucking Aaron, like, freaking out. Some, he walked into a cobweb or something. But then they play back the audio, and it was like, boom. Wow. And I was like, shit. Why did Billy not hear that?
That's weird.
He's like looking at his phone on Instagram or something.
He's on Pinterest.
He just
like,
wasn't paying attention.
What can I put in the crock pot this weekend? Oh, there are these one-pan dinners.
Love those.
I could see Billy on Pinterest.
Yeah. So, other than Ghost Adventures, of course, I do have more. So many people have investigated this location. I could go on and on forever, but of course, I'm not going to do that. And I wish I could have dug in more to just regular folks like us and their experiences and stuff, because you can rent out the Winchester house, though it is very pricey. But I imagine there's some people that sneak and record while they're on these tours. You're not supposed to. You can take pictures but not record. But I wanted to really look for that kind of stuff, but I mean, these TV shows are so entertaining. So the guys at BuzzFeed Unsolved,
they did it?
Yes, they
I
did
didn't know
twice
that.
Also.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, so they went in their first season, but it was just kind of like more like hanging out for a couple hours. And then just recently I rewatched the second time they went there. Shane and Ryan is who we're talking about. If you don't watch BuzzFeed Unsolved, you most definitely should. It is definitely worth a watch.
They are so entertaining.
They don't get that much paranormal evidence, but they are hilarious.
Right. I don't care what they get. They are just so much fun to watch. I love watching them.
Really are. They mostly just crack jokes, but Ryan did collect evidence on his recorder of footsteps, which Shane totally was like, that is not a ghost. But they were loud. Shane's in complete denial. Nobody else was down there but Ryan. And they were loud footsteps. They even sounded like high heels.
That's bullshit.
They didn't sound just like boom, boom, boom. They were like clank, 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 clank,
Yeah, clackety clack. Then Shane, that's a fucking gimmick then. If he's like totally in denial at this point and it's so loud, what was he saying it was?
He didn't say anything. He just said, nah, that could be, nah. If this is your only evidence, is that's like what he was talking. They're so funny though, because they spent the night in the place, and they slept in different areas. So Ryan goes to Sarah's bedroom because he's more serious. I don't know where Shane was, but Ryan goes to bed, but he's also still trying to investigate. So he breaks up the spirit box for a few minutes, and then he's still talking to the spirits. Then he picks up his phone and he's like trying to mellow down to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden he sees a dark shadow in the hallway from the bedroom and starts to freak the fuck out. He is like, don't come in here. No, no, no. And then the guy is like, it's me. It's the caretaker who has to stay on the property anytime somebody spends the night there. But why the fuck is this dude wandering the hallways? I mean, it wasn't time for them to leave, so why the fuck is he interrupting?
Because he's a creeper. Mr. Creepy Pants.
Poor Ryan.
He was trying to catch him maybe Ryan in the nude or something. Ooh. He's all like checking him out, or I mean, that's weird. Why was he up there?
Why?
He knew exactly where he was gonna be too. Fuck that shit. That's creepy. The fact that he knew there's 500 to 600 rooms in this whole fucking building.
And he goes right to Ryan.
Right. No, that is some Scooby-Doo mystery kind of shit. You pull the fucking face off of him and it's a legit ghost under there. There's no Mr. Hobson or whoever the fuck those kids would always find.
So last but not least show favorite here is Ghost Brothers. Chris, why have you not urged me to watch this show sooner? You told me they were good. It's my own fault. They were fucking hilarious.
They're so entertaining. So I love BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Yeah, they're good.
But the Ghost Brothers, I will fucking like crack and laugh my ass off. We watched Salem live. I just couldn't wait for them to go back to the Ghost Brothers. I'm sorry, like all the other, so I love those other teams, don't get me wrong, but they're just the most entertaining. They're like, they react so on point. That's exactly how a normal human being should fucking react to shit.
They're very cool. They're very normal. I just loved their vibe, and they actually got good evidence. So that's kind of the difference between watching the BuzzFeed guys and watching Ghost Brothers. They're both funny.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to Ryan and Shane, like they don't find a whole lot of evidence. I don't know why. But
I don't know why either. They're like equipped.
Yeah. So the Ghost Brothers.
God, I love them.
It was a really good show. One of them was hanging out in the basement. And then, like, the basement door slammed shut. The outside door.
No, I just got goosebumps.
It was fucking loud. It was like drop to the floor, scream for your life kind of loud.
Wow.
And they remained pretty calm, in my opinion.
Did they?
Yeah, they were just like, what was that? And just kind of wandered in the direction towards the door and saw that the door was shut when it was supposed to still be open. So it's one of the investigators named Daylon, and he was there with a guest investigator, Chick, that they had just interviewed earlier. So they're the ones down in the basement, and after the door slams shut, they pull out an ovulus, and they ask the question, who slammed the door? Or maybe they said, like, why did you slam the door? And on the ovulus, they get the word poltergeist.
Wow. Are you kidding me?
Yes. And I was like so on point. And that's the only word they got, too.
Yeah, right.
So a little later on, they do some more investigating and everything. And it's cool. It's okay or whatever. But this is really funny. Daylon had orchestrated this whole, like, set up this whole thing. And the other two investigators, Marcus and Juwan, didn't know about it. And so he's like, I got a surprise for you. And he, like, leads them over to the seance room. And then he opens the door, and the two guys are like, what's going on? And there's an old, creepy white dude just sitting at a table in the dark in the seance room. And he's like, surprise. And I'm like, listen, if this was me and I didn't expect this person to be there, I would have shit myself. It's like I would have hit Daylon and left and been like, I'm offended that you didn't warn me that there's some creepos sitting in this room. Now he's some paranormal investigator and psychic and whatever, and he was asked to be there for the seance's purpose. Oh. So Marcus is like, yeah, not playing. He probably shit himself. So he had to go take care of that. So he left. Anyways, Juwan and Daylon sit down with the psychic and they do the seance, and it's cool or whatever. But honestly, the psychic doesn't say anything that you wouldn't already know just from all the history books that are already out there. I mean, like, there's so much history already on Sarah Winchester and the whole family that he just spouted off stuff that people knew. Mm-hmm. So that ends, and then they start wandering around the house. Several times they got loud bangs throughout the house, kind of just like in Ghost Adventures, and then like the door slamming and down in the basement and stuff. So that's a consistent thing that seems to happen there. Wow. And then they were using that ovulus a lot, and they got the name Karen, and they believed her to be one of the workers. They also got the name Norman, and after Norman's name, immediately afterwards, was the name Doctor. So we don't know if he's Dr. Norman or if it was Norman asking for a doctor. I don't know.
Right. Oh, man.
And then later, using a REM pod, they asked questions to Karen about whether she liked Juwan, because he was like sitting at a table and the REM pod was there. And the questions that they asked, it basically kind of said that Karen was into him, you know?
Oh.
So that was cute. And I thought it was super funny, and their reactions were funny about it and everything. They use a REM pod, and I mean, this is kind of their TLC days. They're on Travel Channel now. So this was a little bit back in the day. They used the REM pod and the ovulus a lot to communicate, which I kind of dug. As much as I don't want to spend the money on those things, man, I could tell myself, oh, they're contraptions that can be contaminated, and who's going to believe you? They are so cool because they give you immediate responses, though. So
can't we just get like a speak and spell and say it's an Ovilus 9?
Yes. We already discussed that. We are going to Toys R Us. One of the ones closing down too, so we should get a good deal.
Yeah.
Speak and spell and one of those leapfrog tables. And we are set.
I used to have that, man.
What if we rented out, we had the money to rent out the Winchester house, and then we walked in there with a leapfrog.
Like a bunch of kids' toys.
And the caretaker is like, what the fuck? And we're like, yeah, and don't interrupt us.
Up on us. We are onto you, mister. Don't. Just stay in this area is where you stay, okay?
Yeah.
I'm taking all of my toys, getting all my bears and, Rainbow Bright and whatever else I've got that blinks.
There's no electronic Rainbow Bright. We don't need to bring her.
You don't know that.
So the Ghost Brothers believe that the employees of Sarah's estate are the ones haunting the location because of the time and energy they spent there, and multiple employees have reported seeing a man wearing white overalls. They kept saying overalls, but I seen a picture of this man. It's coveralls, guys.
Oh,
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
They see him walking with a wheelbarrow in the basement.
Interest in the basement with the wheelbarrow.
Well, the basements are huge, so I could see that. Though there are steps, that would make a big mess getting out of there.
So like an old worker.
Ghost Adventures thought that the apparition that they caught was this guy as well, and he wasn't in the basement. He was in one of these back hallways that would have came, like, Sarah Winchester could pull her carriage into the building, basically, so that she wouldn't have to get wet. Like, it was a garage before they had garages, And so this was one of the back hallways that I guess you would say is in the carriage area of the house, or stables or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just a long kind of openish hallway for work area stuff. So,
okay.
But also probably where the basement is, because you know what? On my tour, I got no point out. That's the basement. I had no idea what the basement was.
Wow, really?
Well, there's also 6 basements. But so which basement is the haunted basement?
All of them. This whole place is, right?
Right. I would assume they're all over the place. But yeah, I never saw, nobody pointed out stairs down to the basement to us.
That's wild. Maybe it's an elevator only type of situation.
No, I just don't think we went to that part of the house, or we either breezed past it very fast because they're not going to take us down there.
Yeah.
So it's not a part of the regular tour.
Oh.
Bummer. So I'm with the Ghost Brothers. I don't believe that Sarah was haunted by her inheritance or the ghost that had died by a Winchester rifle. What ghost wants to spend their afterlife with a stranger, just pissy about their choices of business?
My husband. For sure. Yeah, that's if he's going to be a haunted spirit or a kindred, whatever, that's what he's going to do. Just piss off some stranger. Didn't you say you saw like an image that looked like a middle finger? Yeah, there we go.
The descendant of your husband.
I know.
Okay, so there is that, but I kind of lean toward believing that it's the employees of this home that is what is haunting the building, and possibly Sarah herself. Now, I do 100% believe that it is very possible that Sarah performed seances in an attempt to communicate with her loved ones, or just for funsies. Like we said earlier, she had a lot of money and a lot of time on her hands. She was an intelligent, deep thinker. I don't think in this time in America that spiritualism would have just passed her by without her being like, I could explore that a bit more. I got nothing else going on. And I have plenty of people to talk to.
Right. Yeah.
So I think in her private, personal life, she could have done those things. And yeah, she could have caused a little energy fluctuation going on in the house, a portal or whatever. But I mean, I think the people that worked with her were just really connected to the house and to her.
Yeah.
She had very loyal employees because she paid them well.
Yeah.
So I think that it's just a regular kind of haunting, but I think she was a very interesting person.
Yeah, I think so.
So like I said, I can go on and on about different encounters people have had at the Winchester house. So many people have reported experiences, like I said, during tours, or multiple investigation teams have explored the location. I did watch The Haunted Side on YouTube, which you introduced in the last podcast. And I was like, oh my God, she discovered these people too. You know, I'm really happy to find this because they have a lot of cool locations on their YouTube page. And this is the first time I've ever seen them.
Yeah.
Their investigation was really mellow. I mean, they just seem like very honest investigators. And what they do, it's kind of like what we look like, but we have a lot of, just like this podcast, a lot of side silly conversation.
Yeah, right. Yes.
But I really dug it. And they go to, like I said, cool locations. So I think they're someone to check out. The Haunted Side, which we already talked about in the last podcast. They did go to the Winchester house. Their investigation didn't turn up anything different from what the TV shows had. You know, they have EVPs and strange noises and a lot of activity on meters and stuff, which other people had experienced as well. It's a pretty mellow haunting, it seems like. For such a chaotic house, that's surprising. But yeah, it's good. You don't have to like run away from anything because if you did, you'd probably smack into a fucking wall.
Right into the ceiling.
Or just fall out of the house because there's a door that opens to the outside and you just drop to the floor.
Yeah, so dangerous.
It is.
Do we need to wear like the jumpers when they jump out of the airplane? They have
like
the
a parachute. Just in case.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a drop, but you wouldn't have time to open your parachute. It's like second floor, so yeah, it jerk you up just enough to smack you back down.
Oh, dang.
So, as for me, sadly, I cannot report anything paranormal that happened to me while I was in the home, other than this did happen. Right off of the ballroom, there's like what I would call a sitting room because it wasn't quite large enough necessarily to be like a living room. And do you have living rooms off of ballrooms? I don't know what you have connected to ballrooms, but
I would love to have one connected to a ballroom.
So I think it's a sitting room off of the ballroom. And as soon as we entered this sitting room, I got like kind of dizzy and lightheaded, the same kind of effect that I have sometimes in antique stores. Look, old furniture just affects me sometimes. It really gets to me. I don't know what's going on.
Wow.
As soon as we exited the ballroom, I felt better. So I don't know what was going on in those spaces, but I did feel a noticeable difference than all the rest of the house. And we had been in the house for quite some time. But the home was very, interesting. And then it was very beautiful at times. It had a lot of, like I said, about like the floors and stuff. It had some very perfectly classic finishes that I just loved. I took so many fucking pictures. I cannot wait to share them with you. I was double cameraing it with my full spec and my Canon, and everyone I'm sure thought I was fucking crazy because even at times I'd pull out my phone and snap pictures too, so I just look nuts. It's easy to believe some people's opinion that Sarah did all this just to create an interesting piece of art.
Yeah.
That included little tiny clues of her personality, like we talked about with the coding and stuff. I think she kind of just liked to leave little hints of her own thoughts, opinions, beliefs, political views, whatever. Yeah. But she coded it all crazy in the house. It seems odd to most, but I mean, there's lots of art that some people don't even understand, myself included.
Right. Yeah.
Sarah was a private person. I could totally see this being her way of passing time and expressing herself and never having to leave her house because, that's something I can relate to.
Nice. I get it now.
Yes. Yeah. She's like, I'm bored. Let's make a wacky wall here.
And then I stay here.
Yeah. It was a cool experience. I'm glad I did take the tour, and it inspired you to run out on your own little adventure, didn't it?
Yeah. So I'm in New England, and I know that Sarah Winchester's buried in Connecticut. I have 2 books that are weird in New Hampshire, or New Hampshire weird, something like that. One stays in my car and one stays in my house. It's just,
just in case you get spunky and you're like, what kind of little weird thing can I go see?
Exactly. And I knew that she was buried there. I also knew that Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren were buried in Connecticut. The Occult Museum was there, but it's been closed for some time, so no goes on getting to see it. But still, going to visit the gravesite of Sarah Winchester and the Warrens was something that was high up on my list and something that I hadn't been able to do yet. So, yeah, when Wendy was going on her vacation and she had, had her discussion with me about the Winchester house and she decided she was going to go, I'm like, I got to go and take these fucking pictures now. Now's the time for this, if there ever was a time, because she can't tell her story and then have all these amazing pictures. And then, you guys that are listening to us be like, hey, isn't that other dumb bitch in New England? She's like, that's like, where's Connecticut? Like what, 3 hours away? Yep, it is 3 hours away. Let me tell you, that's a long ass drive to make there and back. And again, you guys know that have listened to this podcast before. If you haven't, then here, let me tell you how I do things. I get a general idea of where something is, and I just go. And then as I'm getting closer and closer, I'm like, okay, well, let's actually find where this fucking shit is. I don't map anything out like a normal person should. I get a wild hair up my ass. I'm like, I can do this. Sandwiches in the car, Doritos, check, tea, and let's go. Oh, by the way, I've been to Connecticut before, but the way to Sarah Winchester's grave, it was so pretty. It was so pretty. The ocean is like right there.
Aww.
It was so cloudy for the most part of my drive. It was overcast, so no big deal, whatever. But like as soon as I got to Connecticut, like the sun decides to come out and there's the ocean. And then there's like, this must be like a big deal, I guess, in New Haven, Connecticut. But there's food trucks that lined the area where you can walk by the ocean too. So cute.
I love food trucks.
Food truck after food truck after food truck. And then you look out into the ocean and it's sailboats. I mean, gorgeous.
Perfect life.
And of course, I'm getting closer and I'm like, this is like Sarah Winchester's old stomping ground. Like she would have been here. I get a little turned around. Like I said, I'm not like the most professional when it comes to doing my GPS, but I can navigate that van through some tight streets. I got this shit now. I find the cemetery. It is massive. Like we're talking like Bellefontaine Cemetery style massive.
Yeah, I bet.
It's a big one. I did happen to find some directions to get to her cemetery online. So it was actually pretty easy to get to. But I pull in to check my directions. And right away, 2 cars come in behind me. One parks really close behind me, and the other pulls around me abruptly and parks in front of me. And I'm like, I don't know what fucking game y'all are playing. I just get on out of this little thing and go and park at the mausoleum. Like, okay, y'all can do whatever you're going to do. I'm going to park over here. So I get to driving. I go around this curb, and right there, I'm pretty sure that's where I need to turn. But it's blocked. That road is completely blocked by a truck. The whole road. So I'm like, well, great. So I keep driving. Again, cemetery's massive. And I look behind me, and wouldn't you know, there's a whole funeral procession coming up.
No.
Yes. I'm like, oh, damn, I picked the wrong day to do this. So I pull over as soon as I possibly could. The cemetery's winding, so it's another path. So I just kind of pull up there. I'm like, oh my God, like what if they're like right next to Sarah Winchester? Like this is going to be so awkward. Be like, sorry, I'm just here to take some pictures. So I wait for them. I see that they continue on down the path. I'm like, it could be one of those processions that takes you through the whole thing and then circles back. So I'm like, it's go time. I gotta find her now before they come around. So I take the path in the back of the cemetery that is leading me back towards where I should be. And as I'm driving down it, I'm like, based on the directions, she should be right over here. I'm just coming at it from a different way now. So as I'm driving down, I'm looking and I'm like, oh my God, that's a big ass rock. I mean, from behind, that could be her cemetery marker. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm just going to have to park here. I hope that funeral procession doesn't come back around. Ugh. So I get as close as I can. I get out. I run over there. Sure as shit, that's her. fuck yes. I'm like, I can't believe I spotted that as I'm driving by. Damn, Chris, you're so good.
It's your intuition there. Fuck that GPS. You didn't need those directions.
I saw it. I'm like, I took about 1 million pictures and I run back to my van. Like, again, still just worried that that funeral procession is going to come back through. And I drive off. I don't see the funeral procession at all. So maybe they found wherever they were going and they're going to stay. And I decide to park right back where I was when I first got there. And I walk my way back. I'm going to take some more pictures now. And I realized right there on the corner is a whole plot of tombstones. They all had my maiden name on them. And I'm like, damn, ain't that strange? It's not often you see Mallory's, you know?
Yeah.
And anyways, then I leave that. I go back and
you're going to leave out that you
the
found.
Duncan part. There was a Duncan buried there too. I thought that was really weird. Of course, well, I'm glad that you pointed it out. I told my husband, and he's like, "Oh, okay, whatever."
You married your cousin,
he didn't think
whatever.
it was big news. I thought it was something. Yeah, I thought it was weird. So yeah, so I go back. I take some more pictures. And the cemetery is beautiful. It didn't have the same kind of vibe as the Bellefontaine. You know, when Wendy and I rolled up to that one, that's, again, where the Lemps are buried. It smelled like of jasmine or honeysuckle or something. There was a very aromatic appeal to it. And the cemetery where Sarah Winchester's buried, it wasn't like that at all. It was a beautiful cemetery. There were ducks. They had a pond. But, you know, it wasn't magical. And I'm not saying anything bad. Clearly, there's a lot of very wealthy people that are buried there.
Listen,
and it's a peaceful place.
Not all of them can be your favorites. It's fine.
I know.
So Bellefontaine is your favorite. Mike, we just went to Yosemite and we've been to Yellowstone. And the entire time we were at Yosemite, we were like, yeah, it's no Yellowstone.
It's no Yellowstone.
Anyways, yeah. So it's pretty, but it wasn't like, it's not your favorite. I get it.
No. If I had more time to have explored it a little bit more, but I was kind of on a mission. Like I said, it was 3 hours to get there, and I still had to go find a couple of other graves and then make my way back home. And it was a long ass drive. So I didn't get to explore the cemetery, but it was beautiful. It was hilly. There was tons of stones there. It would have been nice to have walked around it a little bit. Just, I like that sort of thing, to look at the stones, and many of us do. So it's a beautiful cemetery. It's in a weird spot. It seemed like maybe at one point in time it was an up and coming town. Like the area itself might have been a more of a wealthy part of town, but it's seen its decline over the years. It's an old part of town now, So
I could see that. Well, I appreciate you making that trek to be a part of my podcast story. And now we have your beautiful cemetery photos to post along with the pictures from the house that I got. I sent you a couple that when I go to these places, like with fistful of equipment, I take a ton of pictures. I run recorders hidden because you're not supposed to record.
Yeah.
Underneath my clothes.
Nice work.
It started playing back.
What?
While I was still on the tour. And so I was like, what is that noise? And I was like, that is like my voice or Chris's voice or something. Wow. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I had to find it in my bra or wherever I had stuffed it and turn it off. Nobody realized what was going on. But yeah, so I sent you a couple. So I'm very slow to look at my evidence. But just at a glance, I did see a couple of, at least questionable photos.
Oh, shit.
There is one. It's an orb.
Yeah, I see that.
Our favorites. But you have to know that because Chris and I don't like orbs all that much. We're always going to blame it on something. Very possible this was dust or whatever in this room. It was just a big open space. The only thing is that I took, 50 photos with this camera, and this is the only one that has that in it.
It looks like a fucking balloon, dude.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It is huge. So whatever, there's an orb that we don't usually subscribe to, but when you're desperate for evidence.
and there it is.
And there it is. And then the second one I sent you, this is so silly because I'm sure it's matrixing, but I thought it'd be cool to take a photo through this curtain of, it's like a Victrola or whatever. It's an old recorder. And I was just I took so many pictures of this fucking recorder. But I thought it was cool to take it through this sheer curtain.
Yeah.
But when I was looking at this, there's a guy in this photo.
There's a guy in this photo. He looks like Civil War era or something, with a hat.
Yeah, he is so there was nobody on the tour with this hat.
I see him, like, you sent me this picture. So I see this lovely lace curtain looking thing, and all I did was zoom in like once, and there he is. I mean, bam, there's a man.
I don't know what's happening here, and a lot of people will sit here and say, "Oh, it's a very weird shot." It was meant to be a weird shot. I thought it would look cool just for myself. I wasn't necessarily actively looking for ghosts at that moment.
Wow, it's that's very interesting, because to me, I mean, if it's matrixing, shouldn't you see it again? I don't know. It's like you said, it's a curtain, so it's
a sheer curtain. How do you matrix a whole face with a hat and a suit on?
I mean, dude, you can see like his mustache. You can see his like handlebar mustache like hanging off his lip there.
I mean, you see like a white collar. He has a suit. I can see the thread of the top of his like shoulder arm of his jacket.
Yeah. And it's like here.
You can see his ear. I
mean, I see his ear.
Why is that in a sheer curtain? It has these like, because it's like kind of lacy in a sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Like flowers on it or whatever. And his head is right in the opening of that. It's a really strange photo. We'll put it
is a strange photo.
People could say what they want to about it, but that's what I found so far.
That's interesting. So you said it's a Victrola.
I call it a Victrola, but I don't think that's actually would be the technical name of it, but it was a record player, a recorder, whatever.
But that's the thing that's at the very end of the hallway there.
Yes,
okay.
it is.
So what is this lace? Is this a window?
Yes. So Sarah, being her nutty self, there were a lot of rooms that were outer inner situations.
Yeah.
She also had several porches that had, I call them porches, but they were very interior. They weren't really porches. So green rooms, I don't know. She had plants. She had plants indoor. And so she had these rooms that had a lot of windows that seemed very open to the elements, but they actually weren't. There was just a lot of windows. She even had a whole like slanted floor situation with drains in one of these plant rooms. And then another one had statues in it and fountains going and stuff like that. I think that was this room that had the fountains and everything. And then you could see into more interior spaces in the house. And it was just a long hallway that had a fireplace in it for no reason. And then at the end, this record player, or whatever you want to call it, was blocking off another type of sitting room or whatever, so that you couldn't walk into it.
Yeah.
But it made it a very centerpiece of the hallway, and I just thought it was cool looking.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it is cool looking. And so is Captain Weirdo that's in the picture. Yeah, that's really strange.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But we'll post all these kind of pictures on our social media. So look for that. And that would be COTN_paranormal on Instagram, and just plain old COTN paranormal, no underscore, on Facebook and Twitter. And then, as always, please, 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 please email us at creaturesofthenightparanormal@gmail.com, or you can private message us on any of those forms of social media I just mentioned. If you happen to have a story of the Winchester house, I mean, they do tours every day, so there's a ton of you out there, I'm sure, that have seen this place. If you've had some kind of experience, please share that with us, and we'll share it on the podcast. As well as you could share any location with us, like a story that you want us to do, or a location, I should say, a location you want us to do a story on that was your favorite spot, or just something you want to share with us. I mean, we're here to listen. We love it all.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah. I loved your story. Like, I've known about Sarah Winchester. I think it's one of those names that's synonymous with paranormal because of the seances and the crazy house. So it's good to actually, know more details about the story and the house itself. And it's great that you got to go there. I'm jealous. I would love to go there myself and bump my head against the ceiling on those fucking stairs that go to nowhere. So that's cool as fuck. It's also neat to know that so many different people have been there and have done, their shows on it, like BuzzFeed. I didn't know that. So I'll have to check that out. They're funny.
Yeah. My kids they know what I do and they're somewhat into it. So they had seen the Winchester House on those types of shows, especially BuzzFeed Unsolved. They're big fans of that one. And so when I was like, I don't know, guys, it's kind of pricey. Do you all need to see the Winchester House or can I just go in by myself? And they're like, well, I mean, it's kind of something we want to see. So everybody was on board for it. So it's rare that you have a paranormal location that my whole family is like, yeah, we'd like to know what this like maze is all about. This is fucking crazy. Right. So they all enjoyed it. It was fun. We liked doing it. And kudos to the Winchester House. It's definitely something to see.
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't mind taking y'all's money.
No, they didn't. Note to people that are interested in going to the Winchester House, I'm sure there are times that they sell out. We went on a weekday, so we weren't as worried about it. Buy your tickets at the location. Do not buy your tickets online. There's extra fees online. And it just turns into some weird bullshit. It was a lot cheaper just to buy the tickets at the place.
Yikes. Well, the movie theater near us has started doing that too. Like we used to always get them online and they're like convenience fee $5. And we're like,
oh, the Winchester House was charging a fee per ticket.
Yeah, that's what they do at this movie theater. The same sort of thing. Yeah, that's where we're like, fuck you guys. No,
it doesn't cost you that much to run my credit card, motherfucker. So no.
Online? Come on. Digital money. We're talking digital dollars. Stop it.
This is not the 1880s.
Credit card terminals have just rolled out.
Anyways, thanks for listening to our story. That's the end of our podcast. The end. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Still trying to figure out how to do this. All right.
I liked the end. Done.
Done.
Bye.
Bye.